Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Amy of Bush Baby Amy, and today I'll be sharing episode 2 of my mini twist series. In this episode, I will be cutting my nasty ends. I'll be sharing why it is important to incorporate regular trims into your hair care routine, how to identify when it is time for you to cut those ends, why you need to drop those kitchen scissors, and last but not least, a step-by-step guide on how I intend on trimming my ends. So if, like me, you need to cut it, then please do stay tuned. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank you guys so much for the love on episode 1 of my mini twist series. If you haven't checked out that episode yet, I have linked it in the description box, so please be sure to check it out. If you're new here, then please be sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you aren't, thank you so much for coming back and choosing to be a part of the Bush Baby family. As always, please be sure to turn on those notifications so that you don't miss out the next time I upload. And without further ado, let's head on over to the video. Now, to anyone who has hashtag length goals, I'm sure that regular trims might seem pretty counterproductive to your mission. But would you believe me if I said that regular trims were actually one of the best ways to ensure length retention? And just like a healthy head of hair in general. Now, to justify this, I think it's best that I give a brief explanation on what a split end is. There are a variety of split ends, each with their own origin. And I think that there is value in being aware of this information. However, I do not think that it's for this video. And so if you would like an in-depth explanation on this, please be sure to drop a comment down below. The two most common split ends are the basic split or the Y split and the single strand knot or fairy knot. Although the name suggests that this form of damage only occurs at the ends of your hair shaft, the truth is they can originate at any point along your strand. And due to their nature, if not dealt with appropriately and timeously, they can propagate all the way up to your roots, causing irreversible damage. Kind of like applying a relaxer to my hair, but then wanting my natural hair back. Literally, the only way I can do that is to transition or to cut it all off and start again. Now, I know that this might sound a little bit dramatic, but trust me, it is that dramatic. So, that is why we need to incorporate regular trims into our hair care routine.
But Amy, how regular is regularly?
I wish I had a straightforward answer for you guys, but when I sat down and conducted my research for this video, I found out that like most things related to our natural hair, it is not a case of one size fits all. But what I can share with you is how to identify when your hair needs a trim. Thankfully, most of the indicators that a trim is in order are visual, which means that for the most part, we will be able to assess these ourselves. Early indicators include bushy, dry ends. The longer these are left unchecked, they start becoming tangled and knotted. It is at this stage that you will be able to feel a change in your hair strand as you run your fingers down the shaft of your hair. If you need a trim, the ends will feel significantly rougher than the smooth feel of a healthy hair shaft. Now, if, like me, you needed to cut your hair about a week ago, or 3 weeks ago, or 3 months ago, then a clear indicator of this are ends that taper. And it is at this point that your trim quickly turns into an unplanned haircut. Like a spray bottle, bobby pins, or checkers plastic, hair shears or proper hair scissors are probably one of the most underrated tools in your natural hair toolkit, period. And the reason why they are so important is actually really simple. Hair scissors are sharp. Now, if you would allow me a quick analogy, take a piece of paper. When you cut it with a sharp pair of scissors, you get a nice, crisp, clean cut. But if you cut that same piece of paper with a blunt pair of scissors, the cut may not be clean. The paper may actually bend, fold, or tear as a result of this attempt. And this is the same risk that we run when we choose to cut our hair with a paper or kitchen scissors. That blunt blade can actually result in tearing or fraying of our hair strands and ultimately more split ends, which in essence proves to be more counterproductive than helpful. Now, whilst I have my paper out, if you will entertain me, I have another noteworthy fun fact that I came across whilst I was researching this. And it actually addresses the question of whether we should cut our hair whilst it is dry or whilst it is wet. Take a piece of paper once again. Now, run that paper under water. Now take your scissors and cut that paper. Can you see how you struggle to actually cut across that piece of paper? Now, the reason why stylists usually cut your hair whilst it is wet is because it is easy to see the distinction between the healthy hair and the hair that needs to be trimmed. Now, this is why I choose to trim my hair whilst it is in twists. And I think it is on that note that we can actually head in to the step-by-step guide on how I intend on trimming my ends. As I have already alluded to quite a lot in this video, I was in desperate need of a trim. So I do want to add this quick disclaimer. Because I've neglected my hair for quite some time already, not all of my twists will be cut equally. And for some, I will need to remove quite a lot of length. And I just want to use this opportunity to remind you guys once again to incorporate regular trims into your hair regimen, as they are super important in ensuring healthy length retention. I also cannot emphasize this enough, but please be sure to use a hair scissors. This particular pair of hair scissors that I will be using, I received in a press drop from the Moisture Factory. Thank you so much for hooking your girl up. As you can see, I start off by tying my twists into 2 loose buns. I will be cutting my hair twist by twist, so this will just help make this process a bit more manageable. I will be using 2 different techniques to identify where exactly I should cut my hair. The first technique I am using is the visual method, and this is basically just identifying the points at which my hair tapers and therefore cutting my twists at that point. The problem with this method is that you may end up cutting off some healthy or non-split length as well. But personally, I am really not a fan of the bushy, thinning ends, and so I was happy to see them go. I would also strongly suggest cutting off less hair at first and then going in again to cut off more if need be. A pro to this method is that it's actually a very easy method of trimming your ends, and it is significantly faster than the second method that I utilized. Before we head into the second method of trimming my hair, I just want to highlight my technique of holding my hair whilst cutting it. Initially, I was just holding my twist at the point at which it needed to be cut and then cutting it. But I wasn't particularly happy with this, as I could not specifically control the angle at which I was cutting my strands. So then I figured out another method of holding my hair using my index finger and middle finger at the top and my ring finger and baby finger at the bottom. This method allowed me to create significant tension on my twists to ensure that I was cutting straight across my strands. Now you're probably wondering why the angle even matters. Well, if you cut across your hair shaft at an angle, you actually increase the surface area of your hair shaft, making it more susceptible to split ends once again. The second method I used to cut my ends is the touching technique. Now, I use this technique for my twists that do not have that significant taper that I can visually assess. What I basically did was run my finger and thumb along the length of my twist to identify where it needs to be cut. What I was feeling for was the point at which my twists start to feel prickly or rough, basically less smooth than the rest of the twists. And then I cut it. For this method, I also spent some time after the initial cut to visually assess that there were no split ends that I had missed at the end of the twist. And if there were any split ends that I had missed, I would just cut it out individually. This method did take much longer than the first method, as you may have to run your fingers across your twists a few times in order to specifically identify that point at which your hair needs to be cut. But it definitely resulted in me cutting off significantly less length than the first method. On average, I cut off 2 to 4 centimeters, whereas with the first method, I cut off 10 to 12 centimeters.
Fuck gravity, I'd rather stay up here. We can get away. Palm trees, beach views, on every day. All I wanna hear is in the visions on replay. And sit right next to you. I try not to show how I feel about you. Think you wish you away, but we don't really want to. I just wanna get away and sit right next to you. I don't wanna kiss you. Yeah, I just wanna feel you. Feel you. I want you around. I want you around.
Thank you so much for tuning into episode 2 of my mini twist series. If you learned anything here today, or if you have any queries that you would like for me to address in a future video, then please be sure to drop it down below in the comment section. And speaking of future videos, in episode 3 of my mini twist series, I will be sharing all of my maintenance secrets on how I maintain my mini twists for not 1, not 2, but 3 whole weeks. And considering we're already on week 2, I don't think I'm doing that bad of a job. So if you want to hear all of my hacks and tips, please be sure to hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on that upload. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a massive thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. And as always, please be sure to share it with a friend, share it with your family, share it to your Instagram stories, however you feel like sharing it, because sharing is caring. And until next time, guys, peace out, deuces, and mad love.
We can get away. Palm trees, beach views, on every day. All I wanna hear is in the visions on replay. And sit right next to you.